Where am I? What the heck? Oh my god, I'm like way in the corner. Nope. Ah! I exist. Hello, everybody. Hi. Let's put the music on to something a little less weird. Don't ask me why. I was kind of in the baby no money mood. Might have something to do with a certain song that got out recently. So Chrono Trigger time it is. Oh, why is that? There we go. Streaming problems, as you can see from the large amount of caution tape behind me. There's a lot of things happening. First of all, glad to see everybody. Just gonna be a really short stream, like really short probably. No games or nothing. We're just gonna be talking for a little bit. I haven't really been posting much, and just kind of been doing some stuff behind the scenes. As you know, if you've been following me on Twitter or Blue Sky, I have been kind of in the middle of doing a major update to the stream. As evidenced by the voila, very new model. So, I got neat toggles. Look, I can wave my hands. Hi. But yeah, we have a lot of interesting and fun things coming. Basically, just got tired of the old stuff. I've talked about this before on previous streams, and it just was time. Been streaming for 2 years now. The old model just it had its limits, and I had finally just kind of had my limit with it. I will forever be grateful for Cupin, with his VTuber kit and being able to create a live 2D style model without actually having live 2D. But at its end, it's just a tool. It's a very restrictive one, but it's great for not having to pay to do all of this. But yeah, it was time. So I ended up getting a customizable VTuber model from Wanamith. The rigging was done by Nyanchua, I believe. It's awesome, to be honest. It offers a ton of customization, as you can see. So I still have some homages to the original model with the skull hairpin, the star pendant. I couldn't quite replicate the RGB because they generally don't give you the base files when you do customizable VTuber stuff. So I had to kind of replicate that. So I hope the new horns look pretty cool. I kind of like them. Very nice and shiny. But yeah. And then, of course, Stream Crush as a name in metal font on the t-shirt. So, pretty cool, I think. Kind of a neat little Easter egg for those who know. But yeah, here it is. So we'll zoom out a little bit so you can kind of see the whole model. It's big, tall character. Well, not super tall, but yeah, definitely more long than, anything else. But yeah, that's me. Very, very wavy. I don't have a clear control over all this yet. I'm still learning the ropes on live 2D stuff. But it was time. And it's a lot of really cool, look at how detailed this is. So this is the 2K resolution of the model. There's a 1K resolution, and then there's also a 4K resolution. 4K is really heavy on computers, so I'm not really using that one too much. But this is the 2K. It's a nice compromise. The 1K I might bust out for some of the heavier games, since I am streaming just on one PC. But yeah, I know that the model seems a little androgynous. That's by design. I didn't really want a large, big, beefy, muscular guy. So I chose, what is with this fly? There's like a flymer, and it's just being aggressive all of a sudden. It's driving me nuts. Anyway, yeah. So I didn't want a big, beefy guy. So I did pick something a little bit more feminine. I don't necessarily think it's really that big of a deal. In the end, lots of people have very different models when it comes to VTubing. So, if somebody could be a dinosaur gentleman, or a robot bird, or anything like that, I can be what I am. Still your favorite colorful demon lord, just in a new package. So, and obviously this is just a standard, like customizable VTuber type thing. Eventually at some point I'll get a really cool personalized model, and that'll be pretty sweet. Other than that, with all the live 2D stuff, it has been a bit of a learning curve. I spent the last couple of weeks figuring out how to edit the model a bit. Hopefully staying within the realms of things. Wanimyth, I believe it was Wanimyth, was very, very nice and polite when I was messaging. Hopefully he didn't like get all weirded out about, the questions I was asking. I wasn't trying to like, try and, like do bad things or anything. But I'd imagine when people are like, hey, how do you edit this? Or how do you edit that? And then you start asking questions like that kind of get a little bit too in depth, and it's like, well, he's not tech support. So I think the patience was very good, and I really appreciate it, because his suggestions really did give me ideas on how to like proceed, because I really, really wanted to try and preserve something of the old RGB style, even though that was just a animated GIF playing over a flat texture. I just I wanted something to feel like that, so I feel like this is the best compromise, and to be honest, I really like it. There's a glow effect. It's not the most noticeable. Even in V2 Studio itself, it's a very basic glow, but you can kind of tell. If you look at the horns, you can see them kind of glowing. The rest of the model has a little bit of glow too. It's very subtle, but it does help to kind of like draw out the extra like enhancements. It gives things more depth to the model, which is cool. And there's great toggles. Like, for example, you get the controller, which I might edit at some point, now that I can understand how to edit the art meshes and stuff a little better. We got the tablet, which, of course, follows your mouse, so you can be like, you just made the list, You saw the wave. So, pretty basic wave. Face shadow. Spiral eyes. Heart eyes, because I love you so much. Pleading eyes. Please follow and subscribe. I'm trying my best. And then the last one here is sparkling eyes. Yeah. There's it is what it is. But yeah, as far as other things going on with the stream, I'm editing the audio a little bit. Currently I feel like probably too aggressive of a compressor going on. It makes my voice in recordings kind of come across more flat, and not quite as like crisp as it should. Unfortunately, the microphone I'm using is an Elgato Wave XLR. I have hooked up to my Go XLR, and it's a great mic, honestly. I actually thought it would be kind of hard to deal with, but it's very, very good at picking up sound without and rejecting a lot of outside sound. I would still like to have like a windscreen on it, but I don't know if they make any. I've tried looking around. But yeah, gonna be tweaking that a little bit. Unfortunately, the microphone is not very good at picking up like deeper voices. So Pirate Software, not happening. Connor, not happening. But my voice isn't like the super deepest. I mean, it can be if I want it to be, but generally I have like more of like a tenor type tone than a bassy one. There's a little bass in there, but not too much. And unfortunately I have that kind of voice where I can't really do high notes either. So even though I can talk in a higher register, it's not like the easiest, it's kind of creepy when I do it too. So, the best you get is a tenor. But yeah, so, but it's been something that's been bothering me a lot. So I'm going to be spending a lot of time experimenting with recordings and stuff to try and see if I can tame the beast and get it a little better sounding. Especially noticing it when I was playing Mario Kart World and listening to my streams back, because you should be listening to your streams if you're a streamer, to see what's going on. it was just very obvious from the start that it was not a good deal. Oop, hold on a sec. I gotta turn on my. There we go. Yeah. So part of the thing with the with upgrading to Live 2D is I also upgraded my webcam. I was using a very old Logitech camera, which I'm sure you've noticed kind of glitched out a lot. It was pretty bad. The model would occasionally just like randomly go schizophrenic. So like, just start freaking out or just like freeze. The tracking was just really bad. And it's not the fault of Cuban. The VTube Studio is fine. It's just the webcam was extremely old. I know they basically say like any old webcam will do for streaming, but kinda. Now that I've kind of been through that, like you can make it work, yes, but no, it's definitely like you have to like your mileage may vary. Like a standard webcam will get the job done, absolutely. But you really, really need to like, look at your options. VTuber Kit worked well with a really basic webcam, an old one, but it did glitch out a lot. I was having issues with it. Other people may not, kind of their thing. But I ended up just upgrading my stuff entirely. I got an iPhone 13. It was on sale, so I figured, what the heck, why not? So I pulled the plug on it, or not pull the plug. What is the phrasing for that? I don't know. Anyways, but I basically, I was like, sure, why not? We're doing this. Have a little bit of retail therapy. So I bought it, and it took me a little bit to kind of figure out how to set it up with VBridger and VTube Studio and everything. But I got it working, as you can see. And the tracking is really good. Like I got, smile, lips move pretty good. There's probably still some tweaking I can do with the model. Like I feel like maybe the lips are a little stiff. And the head nodding isn't too bad, but it would be nice if it was a little better, but it's not terrible. And overall, I mean, the tracking is pretty excellent. Like I can wink, So, yeah. So, can't really frown. I'm gonna do a pouty face. The little Iron Mouse. Chat, you're being bullying me. Anyway, she will always be forever the best at doing the brat thing. She's really good at it. Hope she never hears that. Anyway, so the audio is gonna get worked over a bit. The model is basically done. I'm very happy with it, especially for the money. There's so many options in this model. The male and the female model. I'm using the female model, and it's got masculine options. So if you don't want like the bigger, wide shoulder, big guy type stuff, the only downside, and this isn't really a fault of the model package, the only downside is that there isn't really a lot of masculine clothing. So like it's pretty much all frills and lace and girly type clothes that are in the female version. I tried to kind of stick with something that's a bit more gender neutral. So, pants. I feel like there probably could be at least a few more options for maybe gender neutral clothing. But the problem is that the model package is so packed at this point. Here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit more for you guys. It's so packed in this point with features that like there's like one of the things I noticed was missing that I would have liked to have seen is studs for the ears. I kind of wanted to have like earrings, but the earring options, like there's a bunch, but they all are like the hangy dangly type ones. I wanted like maybe some loops or something like clips on the ears. I might have to just edit that into the art mesh, but I do have some piercings. I got nose and eye piercings. It's kind of funny because I have no piercings in real life. But yeah, and I definitely wouldn't get one in these. But when you're making a VTuber model, reality goes out the window. You make the character that you like to see, not necessarily, and like you're making an OC. Like this is not obviously anything remotely realistic in real life, which is part of the fun. You get to be somebody else, and in a way that person kind of becomes you too. So anyway, the options are just like, there's so many though. There's so many clothing options. There's so many options for customization. It's honestly kind of ridiculous. I didn't believe it. Like everybody was always talking about how many options were in there, and I even glanced through like the documentation to kind of see, like, there's a video and everything going through a lot of it. It's like an hour-long video, and it's like at 8 times speed. So, like, it clearly is. There's just so much stuff. But the beauty of that is that I don't really think it's kind of like when you look at like a Suica model, they all kind of look the same. Like there's some that I've seen that are like really nice. They're very heavily edited. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like the Suica models are really cool. And I know eventually there's gonna be a male version. So awesome for that, right? Like more of that's better. I believe that there should be more options for not just like men and women, like just gender neutral options, or just even stuff that's not like human. Like it'd be cool if there was like a VTuber model that was customizable, but it was just monster stuff. That would be kind of cool, actually. But yeah, I mean, like the VTubing is so female dominated that like it's the reverse problem. How like the world often feels like it's designed for men instead of women. Like there's not a lot of consideration for like female body parts or their size, or like if you have a 4'5" woman driving a car, and she's got, I don't know, beak up boobs or whatever, right? Like the seatbelt is not going to fit properly. Her feet aren't going to reach the pedals very well. Like the whole car is not designed around tiny girls. It's designed around average size girls, or, bigger men or whatever, right? There's just a lot of like body differences, between like a man and a woman, or even in the same gender, women and women and men and men, so it's like when you're looking at VTuber models and you're looking for something that is not just a pretty anime girl, things start drying up really fast. And it's probably the reason why it's taken me even this long to get this far. Because I have looked at a lot of customizable models. I have looked at like the options for getting into VTubing as a not woman, and like seeing what is there, and it's not easy. It's not easy. There's a barrier to entry for sure. And the reason why is because the market is there for women, and that market gets served. And in a way, it also hurts other possible entries into the market, like with men, because, well, when you don't have a lot of options, there's not a lot of, it's a chicken and egg scenario. Like you're not going to get the interest if there's not a lot of options. And if there's not a lot of options, you're not going to get the interest. So you kind of have to make do. And yeah, so you end up with compromises like this, where I'm using a model that's very clearly designed for a girl, even though I'm clearly a guy in real life. I could do the voice changer thing. Like, come on, like who wouldn't, right? Like it wouldn't be hard. I just grab an AI voice changer thingy or whatever, and like, would anybody ever really know? Probably not. But I don't want to be that. I'm cool with doing the porcelain maid thing, where it's like, it's very clear that I am a male. Like I'm not the biggest fan of my body, but I am what I am. I don't really see the need to hide it. But that doesn't mean I can't have a little fun with the fantasy of things either. Which is why I'm not opposed to using a female model. But I could absolutely see somebody who is, male presenting or whatever, and yeah, they want to look like a guy, and there's just not nearly as many options, especially when it comes to customization. So, yeah, it's kind of crappy, to be honest. So yeah, like these are the compromises you have to make as a male VTuber. The model I had before me, that was a female. You never noticed because the waist down was always hidden, and I used he had a t-shirt, for God's sakes. So like that whole thing, it's like I used short hair, had a t-shirt on, kind of what I'm doing here. That's a t-shirt. I mean, I could put a hoodie on, but like that's the other issue too, is like, oh, you wanna be a male VTuber, okay, here's a model with a guy that has a hoodie on. And it's like that's it, that's your option. And then you look at like the female options, and it's like, oh, here's a demon. You want to be a dragon? You want to be psycho Yandere girl? Like, here's 8 million options, and then here's male VTuber in a t-shirt, or male VTuber in a hoodie. Or you get like really weird stuff, like here's male VTuber if he was a cat pet shop owner guy who also loved seals or something. Like it's so weird. Like, I don't understand it, and then you get like the one or two really cool ones, and those get snapped up instantly, or everybody's starting to use it. Like some of the models, like I'm sure you've seen Redgrave. Because Redgrave is so super common model. There's a million variations of it. The Asuka model is another one. I spent a long time prowling Booth and Pixiv and VGen and Etsy and all of those sites. It's just, yeah, it's slim pickings if you're a guy. So yeah, that's my model struggles. So I really like this model. This is going to be a model I'm going to use for a long time. Not just to get my money's worth out of it, but I do genuinely like it. I think it's a very cool model. And then ultimately at one time in the future, when I have the ability to plop down thousands of dollars, yeah, I'd love to actually get something that's a lot more detailed and potentially expressive or whatever. But honestly, this works really well. I feel like a little bit more tuning may be possible, but I think it's going to do the job just fine. It's going to be me with my video game controller, and we're just going to be playing video games all day long. As far as the rest of the stream is concerned, as you have seen behind me, all of the construction tape, that is a literal metaphor, for the future. So the future is that the stream needs to not look the same anymore. As you can kind of tell, the model kind of clashes, with everything now. It was always kind of cobbled together in the first place with free assets from other people, which is always very appreciative. But like that has to change. I need something that is me. So what I've decided on is, and I've been doing this for about a week now. I've been shopping around, and looking at like commission sites and stuff and seeing what kind of art's out there that I want. So if you are somebody who pops into my stream and, wants to do art for me, drop me a DM on Twitter or Blue Sky. Hold on a sec here. Sorry, I had to clear my throat. But if you are an artist, I am not tolerating bullshit. I'll check my Discord too, but I am not tolerating bullshit. If you are somebody who's doing those really generic ass, looks like clip art type, template stuff, no, I'm not interested in that. Here is my character in all of its awesome glory. So yeah, like you have the art to make a really cool illustration of me. I'm interested in a go live stream, starting soon, be right back, ending stream, basic stuff. I don't need a chat box or anything like that. I'm not doing that anymore. Those starting screens like I had before, that's gone. This is it. This is the main screen. I'm going to go from a starting student screen to this, and then be right back screens on breaks, and then offline stuff. This is the main screen. So this has to look good. Not super crazy, but it has to look good. It's going to be detailed a little bit. Basically like how it is kind of now. I might have one other screen for like 4x3 content, for like old retro games. That's kind of about it. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll just diversify the game screens. I haven't decided on that yet. And that's the thing too, is like that's the whole thing. I'm not entirely sure exactly what I want. I have pretty good ideas, but it's a work in progress like everything. So it's definitely going to be something that I'm focusing on, like, as a background thing. I'm jotting my ideas down and stuff like that. Other than that, it would be nice to have some custom music. Because that's the other thing I'm going to be doing now, is I'm going to be start streaming to YouTube as well. I really think I'm missing out by not streaming on YouTube as well. Because one of the issues, as I've learned, is that VODs that get changed. Okay, so like let's say you're streaming on Twitch. If you upload your VOD to YouTube, the quality is even worse than it is on Twitch, which is not good for archiving. I've been going back and rewatching some of my streams lately, and I'm like, I know they were kind of like not good on Twitch, but they are really, really bad on YouTube. Like, you can see the banding and the colors, you can see the pixelization. Like, it's bad. I didn't really realize it, but and sometimes you don't notice it as much. But like lately, yeah, it's Mario Kart World really kind of showed the limits of Twitch to me, like in terms of like video compression and stuff. Twitch needs to allow more bitrate, because like these games that are coming out, they're very colorful. They're very like, the games that are colorful and fast paced and stuff, the Twitch's algorithm, their bitrate, it just can't keep up. Everything just turns into a blurry mess. The Death Stranding 2, that scene in Death Stranding 2 where it's like fireworks going off everywhere and you get like that Metal Gear Solid but not actually a Metal Gear Solid guy. Like that, I was watching people stream that and it was destroying their bit rates. Like, it was bad. It was really bad. So like, yeah, I didn't, it's like Twitch's bit rate's bad. It just is. It needs to be higher. And I know they've been experimenting with like 1440p and Twitch enhanced broadcasting and all that kind of stuff. So I'm hoping, like it's just that like it's taken so long to get to AV1, and other settings. They're finally getting rewind, which is insane that it's taken that long. The premier streaming platform, and let's be honest, Twitch is the platform to stream on. YouTube has awesome streamings about stuff, but it's not really built for like being a streaming platform. Let's be honest. But Twitch is great or YouTube is great for discoverability, where Twitch is not, because YouTube has an algorithm that helps you with that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's why I will be doing YouTube as well. So it'll be a simulcast thing. That way people also don't always like being on Twitch. Sometimes they just like staying on YouTube. So, it doesn't hurt to be in more places, especially as a smaller streamer trying to get the word out that, hey, I exist. But yeah, so that's going to be the other thing too. So better quality VODs is the big primary thing. But then not just primary, like the VODs, it's also just going to be, discoverability and ease of use. There's just no downside to also streaming on Twitch on YouTube. But that also comes to the downside. It means all the music that I stream with that currently plays, it's blocked from the Twitch VOD track. So if you watch the VOD, you don't hear any of this music. But if I was on YouTube, you can't do that with. What you stream is what they hear, and what gets recorded, which means any copyrighted music like becomes a bit of an issue. Now, I don't monetize my VOD channels, so it's not the biggest issue. But I do like to have stuff separated on a VOD track, because it also means that I don't have to worry about, like, if I want to go back and clip something out of the video, that there's music over it. So that's kind of nice. And I can't do that on YouTube. So having a BGM that is like friendlier to copyright would be a good thing. So this type of music might go. I don't know. That kind of is up in the air too. It would be nice to find artists that don't really care about copyright problems. But it's kind of where we're at. Trying to think if there's anything else. Stream assets, music, starting to screen, blah blah. I'm trying to think. I love the could do the DreamWorks smirk. Anyways, brain fart. Yeah. So that's most of the streaming stuff. The second to last, actually, the big thing I'm going to be discussing. I'm considering doing a rebrand. I'm not settled on this 100%, but I have been giving it a lot of thought lately. Stream Crush is a very strong brand name, but the problem I feel is that it's not a very good name for a content creator. And hear me out. So Stream Crush, before I started using it more regularly, I've had the name Stream Crush for a long time. But before I started using it regularly for like VTubing and content creation activities, Stream Crush was more commonly known as a hashtag. Stream Crush, like I have a crush on somebody. So it didn't get used as much after I started using it as a name for content creation. And I'm not sure if it's directly related to me or not, but if you do like a Google search now for Stream Crush, I come up, which is good, right? Now there are some caveats to that. Like for example, Stream Crush, as in 2 words, still comes up occasionally on TikTok, where I don't go to TikTok. I have some videos on there, but I haven't used TikTok for a long time. I haven't been uploading clips or anything to it. I kind of shied away from it because the rumor of the impending ban, I'm like, do I really want to waste my time on it? And now, it's probably not going away anytime soon, but, I haven't streamed in a while, so I don't have a lot of clips to put on there anymore. So I might start popping some shorts back on YouTube or, on TikTok, but, anyway, point being that, oh gosh, I'm sorry, it's late. I'm tired. The point being that, oh my gosh, I need a question mark emote. I feel like I'm high as fuck. Anyway, the point being that, I forgot what the point was. Somebody jog my memory. I'm apparently very high. All right. Let's scrub that back a little bit. TikTok videos, Stream Crush. Okay, there we are. All right, now I remember where I was at. So the name Stream Crush is mostly on Google attributed to me now, which is great, right? But I've been thinking about it, and I'm like, do I want to keep the name Stream Crush? For one thing, it's a really strong name, and it's great for branding because, like, it's just a big word, right? Stream Crush, done, right? The problem is that it's more of a thing you would name a place or use it as like a verb than you would like a noun. It's not a person name. It's a branding name, right? Like you would name your website Stream Crush, right? Or like hashtag Stream Crush or something like that, right? And it doesn't necessarily roll off the tongue well, and you can't really like abbreviate it. Like if you look at look at names for like VTubers, right? Or even just streamers in general. Like CohhCarnage is just Co. Asmongold is just Asmon. Pirate Software is just Pirate. Iron Mouse is just Mouse. Ezekiel III is just Zeke. Kai Cenat, just Kai. Right? Everybody likes, everybody shorthands these names. So Casio is just Gazy, you know. So like, uh, thinking about like, well, what would you stream? What would you shorten Stream Crush to? And it's like stream, Crush, kinda. Crush kind of works, but then I'm just Crush. I mean, yeah, but that feels like an ogre name. What's your name? Crush. Like it's, me Crush. I'm Stream Crush. Blah. Boy, that voice does not fit this face. anyway, yeah, so, I've been thinking lately about something a bit different. I haven't settled on one yet, though. There's a couple names I'm kind of like rattling around my head. The downside of a rename is you got to go through all of your accounts and rename them. And some of them don't let you do like a full rename. So Stream Crush is always going to exist in some manner. That's just kind of how it's going to be. Hence why, Stream Crush is on this t-shirt I'm wearing right now. And why I still have nods to the old model, because, like it or not, Stream Crush is where I got my start. And, if I dump the name or not, it's still going to be a part of my history, as a content creator and as a person. So, yeah, but, that kind of goes hand in hand with the other stuff I'm doing. It's not like I want to rebrand as an entirely new person. I'm still me, but, what I'm looking for is cohesion of like design and assets, as well as using a new name for better branding for the content I'm doing, who I am, and how that can be a more relatable name, and how I could use it for branding. Because, like I said, Stream Crush is a good name, but it's not necessarily a good name for a streamer, particularly a VTuber. Because when I made the name, I was not thinking about VTubing. VTubing did not exist when I made this account. My conceptions of Stream Crush was straight up just branding. So way back in 2013, little old Stream Crush made this account. And was like, what is a good name for streaming? And I'm like, what's a strong branding name? Well, it was Stream Crush. That's what I came up with. I remember when I went to, was it Elohim stream, and I said something in the chat, and he saw my name, and he was like, Stream Crush. That sounds like a soda can. And I'm like, I was like, oh no, what have I done? It didn't work out the way I thought it would. So yeah. And even now, if somebody raids me, or if I go to somebody's channel, like lately I've been watching a ton of Eternal Enigma. Great guy. I love his content. Every time I sub, it's like he's got a wonderful announcer voice, but I hear his pronunciation of my name, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with how he's pronouncing it, but I hear it and I'm just like, I don't know. Is it really that great? So yes, is it really? I don't feel like it is. But yeah, so that's why I've been giving it a lot of thought. So with all of these changes, there might actually just be a full-on rebrand. So new face, new me, new look to the stream, streaming in more places, and just kind of phase 2, I guess you'd say, of me. Whatever form I end up taking, right? That's kind of the whole thing with the VTubing gig, I guess. It wouldn't be unusual. People rebrand all the time and change their names and stuff. Really good example is Tobbs, the VTuber Tobbs. She was Unreal Girl, and then she was Taboso Kuroi, I think, something like that. And now she's just Tobbs. So yeah, like VTubers, and just streamers in general, they rebrand and change. It's generally not a big deal as long as it's communicated well enough. If you have a big enough audience, I don't think people are really going to be too worried about my name change. They might be a little confused as to why there was a Stream Crush guy and now there's a whatever, right? But yeah. And on the other hand, I've kind of already been going with Stream Crush, so I've already been building a brand with it. So is it really a good idea to dump that? I don't know. But it's hard to say for somebody who hasn't even hit Twitch affiliate yet. That right there is kind of problematic. So and finally, clearing the air on all of this. The last thing is that when I come back from all of this stuff, and I will be continuing to kind of like at least pop in occasionally and say hi, and I'm trying to keep up on socials and say things and do all of the things that hopefully get people involved and stuff, let them know what's going on, because I don't want a repeat of last year where I fell off the face of the earth for like 6 months. That is not a good idea for branding. Even if this is a hobby, I still enjoy doing it, but I want to have a community, damn it. It's just hard, like you working a full-time job and then dealing with family problems and all that on top of it. It's like, it's hard. You don't find a lot of time to sit down and do this shit. It's like, and then you're expected to be on 8 different websites, all communicate with everybody and doing all this. It's overwhelming. This is a job I'm not getting paid for, it's a lot of time. Like, people will sit there and they'll be like, oh, well, in order to be able to, do well as a content creator, first you have to like make 8 hours of content a week on YouTube. And it's like, you don't have fucking time to edit that shit. There's no time for this. There's no time at all. So it's like, you have to make the time, but it's like, goddamn, I'm exhausted constantly from this shit. I have spent literally 2 weeks on this and I'm not even remotely close to being done. And I'm not even streaming. This is the first stream I've had in like 2 weeks. I didn't even finish the Little Nightmare stream because I had to end it because it was glitching on me. So I did beat the game, but I did it off stream. Was it worth it? No. Little Nightmares 2 had some really good spooky moments, but that ending sucked. I was, yeah. So I'm not gonna spoil it. There's plenty of video on YouTube if you really want to see it. But yeah, school was creepy, and I hated the medical hospital part with the stupid mannequins. The TV guy the twist on that was like, okay, I guess, like, and just, yeah. I liked some of it, but I overall wasn't the biggest fan. I'm hoping Little Nightmares 3 is better. But I am not spending the $80 or whatever they're asking for it. These games the experiences are too short and they overstay their welcome as it is. So I will wait till it gets a deep discount to play it. Reanimal looks really cool. That's by the people who actually made Little Nightmares. Because the team that's making Little Nightmares 3 is not the same team that made Little Nightmares 1 and 2. Those people split off and made their own company. So Reanimal looks pretty sick too. It looks like very much like a spiritual successor to Little Nightmares. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's gonna be that time of year as well. Spooky game season is coming up, and I have so many spooky games to play. It's not even funny. So this might just be a straight up horror channel for a while. Yeah, I do know that, I'm going to break it up with some levity. There's going to be some fun games, Goofy, Mario, like the Donkey Kong game that's coming out. You better damn well believe I'm playing that. That don't come out till the 17th though. So I think it's the 17th. I actually don't know. What is it? Let's find out. When does Bananas come out? Let's see here. Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out July 17th. So we got a couple weeks. So that'll be good. Other than that, let's see. What else is there? Let me consult my pad here. Okay, so we covered that. And we cover that. And we cover that. Okay. Okay, we cover that. Yeah. Okay. This isn't fooling anybody, is it? All right, we'll put that away. All right. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I think really honestly that's kind of about it. The only other major thing was just that the platform changed to Live 2D. I have noticed that it takes more performance to run all of this stuff than VTuber Kit did, which means that certain newer games are going to be harder to play on my PC until I get a second PC for streaming. So the plan will be to shift all of the OBS and VTuber stuff off to another computer while the gaming computer does the actual gaming. But I do have like a PS5 and I have a consoles that I can buy the games for if I really want to play them. Older games should be fine. But I doubt I would have been able to run Space Marine 2 without cutting down on some issues. Switching to the 1K model will probably help with that for games that are a bit tougher. So I might do that. I need to set up the 1K model still for like lower res streams. So I might do that. But yeah, so that's another consideration I'm going to have to make as well. I think that's about it. Most of the stuff is just behind the scenes VTubing type things that, it's stuff that gets lost. You get deep in the weeds on this. And then honestly, like, people who are tuning in, if they care about this stuff, I mean, I'm grateful that they do. But I would imagine most people are just like, what are you playing, bro? Why aren't you doing exciting, interesting things instead of talking about this boring VTubing stuff? And I get it. So yeah. I think that's kind of about it. I mean, gaming news and all that aside, I mean, Microsoft is crapping the bed as always. But that's, God, that could be its own content video. Maybe I should just make one of those. I'm sure there's a million videos about, going on from all the Microsoft news. So I will say, because I was going to make a tweet about this the other day and I thought better of it, but this is going to be tucked at the end of a, hour-long video. So I'm just going to say it right now. I am very, very, very disappointed in not necessarily what's happening. Like, obviously 9,000 people losing their jobs really, really sucks. But speaking on like a macro level of things, Microsoft has always been notoriously bad at managing its studios. But the biggest issue for me personally, the one that hits me the most, that makes me feel just like bummed. So there was the announcement of the departure of like one of the last remaining heads of Rare from like the old guard. On top of the fact that like pretty much every game Rare had in development is now canceled. Like anything that they were working on, like obviously Sea of Thieves is still out and stuff like that, but I am so disappointed in what happened to Rare. Rare really should have just stayed a Nintendo company. I mean, this is just like me from the outside looking in. Like, I don't actually know, what's happening behind the scenes. For all I know, this is, everybody was happy with the arrangements, but I doubt that. I really doubt that. Like I grew up with Rare, Donkey Kong Country and RC Pro Am and all that. It's sad to see that Rare got dumped off. Like Nintendo had the chance to buy Rare. They chose not to. I don't know why, to be honest. They should have, but they did not. And Microsoft scooped them up. Not because they thought that these games were going to be great for their brand, but because they didn't want Nintendo to have Rare. They thought, oh, we're taking away Nintendo's major, like studio, which to be fair is a logical thought. I mean, this is the studio that basically kept Nintendo going for a lot of the N64 years. But they did blunder out of the gate. Like towards the end of the N64, it was very clear that something was wrong at Rare. Production schedules were becoming a problem. And it could have been from outside influence. I infamously, the whole story about Star Fox Adventures, where it was basically Dinosaur Planet until Shigeru Miyamoto showed up and told them to make something out of Star Fox. And that's where we got Stairfax Temperatures. Although, to be fair, I like Star Fox Adventures. It's not a perfect game, and it's very much just a Zelda clone, but, I kind of liked the GameCube era Nintendo for all of its arrogance. There was just a little bit of whimsy that I really appreciated. But Rare could have been a better studio under Nintendo's guidance. They have definitely not been that under Microsoft. They've been just absent. There was a few games on the original Xbox and the 360. You had Cameo Elements of Power, which was an Xbox game. There's a prototype that kind of is floating around out there that you can play. It's mostly complete from what I understand. But they did shift that over to the 360. There was Viva Pinata, Grab by the Ghoulies. There was some stuff that was in development for GameCube that shifted over to Xbox and then eventually over to the 360. Killer Instinct 2013 started life as a 360 game. A lot of people don't know that, but yeah, that's actually a thing. Killer Instinct 2013 got moved over to the Xbox One. And to be honest, outside of the Sea of Thieves is the last notable Rare game. But the funny thing is Rare didn't develop Killer Instinct 2013. It did have some Rare employees who worked on it, but it was not a Rare Studios game. It was an Iron Galaxy game, and then moved on to Mercury Steam. No, not Mercury Steam. I can't remember the other studio, but it was not Rare. That said, it had a lot of Rare DNA in it, and I think the game is better for it. But now it's there's news today that Toys for Bob might be getting a contract to make a Banjo-Kazooie game. I don't know. I'm not buying it. Any rumor that comes out about any of Rare's IPs, I don't think any of it's happening anymore. I'm not saying Microsoft doesn't have love for Rare's IPs, but they don't care about making games. They care about making money. And it's so obvious after the other day where 9,000 people lost their jobs so that Microsoft could look at their shareholders and go, see, we made more money. There was none of the studios that Microsoft was funding, none of the games they were making were going to hurt Microsoft. They were going to cost them gajillions of dollars, right? And some of those games seemed very promising, even if they might have had a rocky, development path. There's no reason why Microsoft couldn't have kept those games going, gotten them out the door, and kept those employees hired. There's no reason. And I don't care what bean counter works at Microsoft that would tut me and say, oh, no, that's not, we had to let these people go. It was so important. It's no, it was not. It was not important. You did not have to do this. Don't be stupid about this. We all know that you laid these people off so that you could tell your shareholders you made more money. That's it. That's the only reason you did it. We know better. We're not stupid. I'm tired of companies doing all that. When Phil Spencer came on and talked about it, he did the most corporate speak answer ever. No, come on, bro. Who are you kidding at this point? No. So yeah, I'm tired of it. I'm tired of companies thinking that people are stupid. People are kind of dumb sometimes. Yeah, absolutely. I'm dumb sometimes, but come on. You could only say and do this stupid song and dance about we had to let these people go because blah, blah, blah. No, you didn't. You went apeshit during COVID because you made so much money. You hired a bunch of people, and then you got mad because you wanted them to work in your office in bumfuck Portland, Oregon when they were living in Florida They were doing their job just fine remote, but oh no, they have to come return to work because corporate office environment is good for people. Blah, 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 blah. Leases. No. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, all that really happened was that shortly after COVID was ending, at least the pandemic part of it, which I mean, it's probably still going. I don't fucking know at this point. But anyways, shortly after the COVID panic ended, we'll say it that way, people started going back to work, and businesses were so desperate to get back up and running that it became a market for employees. Employees could dictate the terms. They could say, oh, there's a job anywhere. I could get those jobs. I don't need your job. I'll go there for the better pay. So people's wages were going up because they were job hopping and they were demanding better pay and better benefits, right? But companies have been working hard for the last couple of years to ruin that, to absolutely wreck it. They've been putting out bullshit, like, oh yeah, no, we're totally hiring. See, here's our thing that says that we're hiring you. It's like, they're not hiring you. They're taking your application and they're putting it in a pile. That's it. That's all they're doing. They're keeping a stack. That way they can call you on short notice if they fire one of the 6 remaining employees they have, or cut their hours for some reason. But otherwise, yeah, no, they're not hiring. And we know this because we've seen the numbers that are starting to get fudged because they look bad for certain high level people. But that's the reality is, like, the job market is terrible right now, and it's going to get worse because the people who are high up are also very bad at economics, apparently. They're really good at the rich part. They're really bad at the rest of it, but yeah, the other big issue, of course, is that, we have to have all these people come back from their remote work jobs. Despite study after study showing that remote work jobs are better for people than having to constantly go into work to do their job. You don't need to be in an office to have an office environment, right? Like, people were doing their jobs just fine during COVID working remote. But the problem was that, I, as a company, have now spent tons of money on renting out these buildings so that my employees could work in them. And now I don't need to have this. I have to cancel my leases, and all this real estate just goes to waste because who's going to be in the buildings, right? We'll have to convert them into, I don't know, apartments or something, and that would be terrible. Couldn't have affordable living, right? I need people to build luxury condos, not take up old office spaces. So return to work mandates. Return to work mandates also helped, create layoffs. Like, they're not layoffs in name, but the effect is the same. If you tell 1,000 people that they have to return to office and they all live across the country, they can't afford to move because they've put roots down where they live. Because there's no way they're going to move, like, sell their home and move in, a short notice to hopefully go to your very expensive ass place to, San Diego or San Francisco or whatever, like business, and then somehow find a place to live there. Like, no, they're just going to quit. They're going to quit and they're going to go find something else, or you're going to fire them because they can't come into work. And that is considered, that's basically just a layoff. That's what a lot of return to work mandate is cutting the workforce under the guise of trying to bring them back, So yeah, it's a mess. It's become an employer's market again. And they dictate the terms, and you're starting to see the effects of that again, because we all know what happens when employers are in control of the economy. They will wring you dry and they will screw you over as a worker. And if you need any proof of that, just look at the ridiculous amount of layoffs that's been happening in the gaming industry over the last couple of years. You can make the argument that it is a product of overhiring because of COVID, but we all know the truth. You don't need to fire that many people. So, and you notice that, like, the one people that don't get fired during any of these is management. Management keeps their jobs. That guy doing art for that new MMO at ZeniMax that just got fired, fuck that guy, right? But Phil Spencer, the guy who's been making terrible decision after terrible decision at Microsoft and costing them tons of money every fucking year for over a decade, that guy gets a bonus. That man gets a bonus, and he gets a fucking, blowjob from his Ferrari or something. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like it's pretty ridiculous. You know, and it's not fair. You know, and then they had the fucking gall to send out an email to people saying that they could go to AI to help them, find their inner peace or whatever. You know, oh, just consult the AI chatbot so that you don't go insane and try and, get all suicidal because we just fired you from your dream job. You know, like, what the fuck? Like, the heartless ghouls, man. You know, it's not, hey, here's some resources so we can help you find another job in the industry or something. No, no, no. It's go consult the AI chatbot. It's like, what? Fuck AI, man. Fuck AI. You know, and I'm somebody who dabbles in AI. And I can tell you right now, fuck AI. The way, like, not as a tool. There's nothing wrong with AI as a tool. But the way that it's being twisted and abused by all rungs of people. Like, kids should not have access to this shit for school assignments. It's ruining education. Because kids are just going to plagiarize everything because they're going to go to ChatGPT and they're going to be like, hey, yo, ChatGPT, tell me how to do this report. And ChatGPT is like, here's your answer. And then they hand it to the teacher. And every year the AI gets better, the harder it is for teachers to know if the person actually wrote this thing or not. So, you know, it's the cell phone issue all over again. New technology comes into the classroom and it just starts causing so many issues. Because, of course, there's no government regulation of this crap. So it relies on individual institutions, and it's just it's a cobbled together mess of like, well, we're fucked. Which sucks, which really sucks. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to think anymore. We're cooked, kids. We're cooked. It's over. It's over. But speaking of being over, streams are going for about an hour. I told you this would be a really short stream. So that's all the goings on for Stream Crush, or soon to be whoever else. Yeah. Like I said, I'm very happy with the model. I hope everybody else likes it too. But yeah, I'm out. So bye guys. I will see you all later. And I hope that even though it has not been the most exciting of times or the happiest of times for a lot of people, I hope everybody is trying to do their best to be okay, or at least trying to find their way to being okay. It's hard for everybody right now, but you're not alone. You're not alone in any of this. Like, there's always going to be somebody out there who will at least be there for you. They may not be able to do anything for you, but sometimes being there can be enough. So, yeah. Just take care. Times will be hard, and then times will be better. That's how you learn how to appreciate the good times. But yeah, so I won't say happy 4th of July or anything like that, because Lord knows it's not happy times for a lot of reasons. But I hope that you guys are having a good and safe holiday weekend. And for those of you who are not in the United States, I hope you just have a good time in general. And I hope your days are all going well. So thanks for tuning in. I don't know. Next time you see me, I may not be me. I'm not myself today. Maybe I'm you. Anyways, I'm signing off. Take care, guys. And I will see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.